following podcast is recorded and produced by the Podcast Precinct in affiliation with the network at bicbp-radio.com. The Podcast Precinct. Consistency, creativity, culture.
Hello and welcome to the Sci-Fi Update. I'm your host, Tony Harper, and I have in studio with me today Dave Clark, your favorite guest.
Everybody?
The only one I can always count to show up. Again, I had another guest cancel on me. This time he had court duty that he had to go to, so we'll see what my next guest says when I try to get somebody else on. All right, Dave.
I don't know. I'd rather do court duty than your podcast. I'm not sure how that works.
Oh, ouch. Come on.
Man, I can't come up with good excuses like that, obviously.
Obviously not. I mean, I did have a little over 10,000 downloads last month.
Really? Wow, congratulations.
People hit my Facebook page finally this month. Last couple of weeks. And yeah, I know. I gotta look at the camera or look at freaking the screen so that it looks like I'm looking at the camera and I'm freaking yelling at him and not doing it.
Last week we started off that way, and then like 10 minutes in, neither of us are looking at it again. It was just, I should set up some mirrors.
Set up some mirrors or something. I know, right? So as usual, we're going to start off with the news. For the news this week, it was kind of light. So I went to a website on Gizmodo and started combing through some of their books that they had on there that were releasing this month. And then an ad popped up on the page and kept blinking my phone when I was looking at it. And I'm like, all right, I'm done. So I only got up to like May 17th, and I only went with the sci-fi ones, not the fantasy ones they had in that article. You're more than welcome to look it up, but it was clickbaity as hell, and I was trying to save you from some of that. So we're going to start off with some regular news. We're going to mention that Netflix has canceled even more shows last couple of weeks. Another Life will end in season 2. Raising Dion will also end after 2 seasons. And Netflix is canceling some additional shows that weren't sci-fi based. I know you were talking about one before we started today.
Did I remember it?
I guess you don't remember. Cool.
Batgirl, Batwoman, whichever one it is.
Yeah, that should have been sci-fi based. I didn't see that.
I only watched maybe like 2 episodes. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. It was again super dark and gritty,
right?
And very heavy on popular topics like sexuality and Me Too and everything, which is perfectly fine for a show. But I don't feel that they really worked it into the story. It was more of like, hey, here's a placard. Instead of, hey, here's the story. And in the story, our lives just naturally fold into what reality is, you know? But hey, not every... I actually really hated the Batgirl costume, too. So.
I honestly did not see that. There's plenty of things I haven't seen, but DC is not one of my more popular things. I haven't even seen the new Batman yet, and it's been free on HBO Max. I have HBO. I just haven't watched it yet.
They were just talking about CW's canceling. Basically, they're only keeping. So the rumor is Superman and Lois,
right?
And the Lena, is that the new one? Naomi, I think it is. Which I've never heard of.
Something like Naomi. I kind of remember something about it, but I don't fully know what that was about either.
But the Champions of Tomorrow, Guardians of Tomorrow,
Guardians of the Galaxy, and Legends of Tomorrow.
Legends, that's what it is. That one's ending. I think it's.
I did read that one is ending as well.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that
so is it
Arrow was the first
money grab by everybody? Do we think, or what do we? think is it just cutting back on some of the expenses because the economy is getting waffling again a little bit here?
Well, I think it's because it's been out for 10 years now. The Arrowverse has been out for 10 years.
Right.
And I think they ran out of story. I mean, now they're just recycling story through different characters.
Means, in different ways, yeah.
And I used to watch The Flash. I was never an Arrow fan.
Right. I kind of like the Arrow. At least the first couple of seasons of the Arrow, and then I think it fell off in the third season.
Again, I mean, it's crazy because I like dark and gritty, but I don't think I like dark and gritty superheroes. I like my superheroes a little, not quite Superman smiley, but somewhere in the middle.
Right.
Like the Flash.
Right.
Has a little bit of humor behind it, even though they're talking about sensitive subjects like rape, murder, death.
Right.
But I like a good caper. You know, I want Rhino. Rhino's awesome. Hate Electro. We won't get into that. But I think after 10 years, they've just run out of cool stuff. It's time to give it to some new writers and let them take care of it.
Maybe. I was just talking in general. I mean, because we mentioned that CW is cutting back on everything other than that. I'm just talking. Netflix is cutting back. A lot of studios are cutting back on a bunch of, should I say, niche markets right now. And I'm wondering if it's just because it's the economy or if there was something else going on with that.
Maybe it's because the hipsters that were there hip when it started have all aged out into their 30s and they can no longer afford the beard oil.
Good possibility. All right. Off the Grid is a new Battle Royale game coming out from the director of District 9. It's a cyberpunk game with 150 players in it. It will be both PvP and PvE at the same time. When you're playing against some of the environment, it affects the PvP game of it.
So, yeah, is the PvE just going to be like bots or traps? Any idea?
I don't know. There wasn't a lot in the article I read about it. The game release time is sometime in 2023. So that's all the information I ended up getting on that.
So still a chance for vaporware. Fortnite 2 has not been doing terribly well.
Fortnite 2 or Season 2? Or
Season 2.
Really?
Fortnite 2? No, Fortnite 2.
Fortnite 2.
Yeah. Reading an article where people are very unhappy with the direction it's taking. Not a Fortnite player. Although I don't like dark and gritty, I also don't like
cartoony.
Yeah, it's just
I mean, get it.
Borderlands love it. It's a great meld of dark and gritty with comedy and literal cartoon artwork style.
Right.
But Fortnite's just never been my thing.
I get it. Totally get it.
And it may just be my angst over them teaching my kid how to dap. Or do the call it one way the crotch rubbing one or crotch scrubbing one. Sandpaper between the knees. I'm not sure what that one's called.
I'm not sure what that is called either.
I guarantee you your kids can do it though.
Okay. I'm sure they probably can't. I mean, I'm sure they've seen it and understand it better than I do. But I'm
the one where they swing their arms one direction, their hips go the other way, then they rotate the other way. Okay.
The towel?
Yeah, like
whatever.
Like you dry yourself off with a towel between the legs.
That is
it's just
not
weird.
what
it's
you
weird.
said. Jesus. Okay. All right. I'm not the only one that can.
Makes me think of sandpaper. Have you ever sandpaper?
Does the word switch thing? So at least we're even, Dave. All right. Inkudi Gatwa, I think I'm saying the name right. He's the next Doctor Who. He's right now famous for playing Eric something or other in Sex Education on Netflix. And he will be replacing the Jodie Whittaker as the 14th Doctor after she ends her final season this year. That's fairly new news.
Jodie Whittaker fan?
They only did 3 seasons with her, so not many people must be.
Well, no, that's pretty average for a lot of the doctors.
Is it really?
Yeah. I mean, there's only been a couple of doctors that had long runs.
Well, the one I remember is the curly-haired doctor. What's his name? Somebody knew him right away.
Oh, the 5th Doctor?
Yeah. Yeah, 5th or 4th Doctor. I think it was the 4th Doctor. Actually.
His name is escaping me right now, and there are going to be fans just railing because neither of us can think of the name.
I'm not big Doctor Who fan,
I
unfortunately.
am a Whovian. That's the problem. I should know it.
Whovian.
David Baker. There we
David
go.
Baker, yes, that is who somebody
Sorry,
told me.
brain
it was.
doesn't always connect.
One of my other guests that I tried to actually get on here, we were actually going to talk about Doctor Who, and a bunch of that stuff. So that canceled that show. And then the other show we were going to talk about today was the new Doctor Strange, and you didn't get a chance to see the movie yet, did you? Opening weekend.
And it scored second highest since the return to movie theaters after COVID.
Yeah, I mean it's doing very well. The theaters I was at, like I tried to get tickets Saturday for a Saturday afternoon show and couldn't. Anything that wasn't like sitting down front, like totally.
Yeah, neck breaking.
Yeah. Even then, I was 3 rows back in this one, and it was still fairly close to the front. A lot closer than I usually like to sit at it.
I saw Avatar at the IMAX in the front row, all the way in the right seat.
Woo!
In 3D. So it was not 3D at all.
So
and my head was like this the whole time.
One of the things I did want to talk about, and we could talk about it again, is they actually did Avatar 2 release one of the previews for Avatar 2.
Oh, did they? Oh,
during this Doctor Strange thing. So when we do our Doctor Strange episode, we'll have to talk.
Which hopefully after we leave out of here, I'll just scrape some time together and go see Doctor Strange. I almost said Doctor Who.
And the last thing before I get into those books was GameStop in Germany has opened up the ability to pre-order Titanfall 3. There is no official art cover or art actually added to the pre-order site. They just have a little black box thingy for where the game would go. And it's supposed to release in Q4 of 2022, according to the website.
So the sci-fi of Titanfall, I think, is super amazing.
Is it?
Well,
I mean,
giant mecha robots to begin with.
Yeah, I know. And so that's why I mentioned it. It is sci-fi based.
There's... I gotta go back to Kyle Hill again. I've watched entirely too much of Kyle Hill, apparently. The research into mechanical muscle fiber is really advancing.
It's advancing a lot. I mean, have you seen the now walkable? It's kind of like, that was in that preview too. But you have like extended arms and all that kind of stuff. Like your arms still control it, and then in front of you have your hands and everything else that all match exactly your movements, and they're just bigger.
So excited.
I mean, I've seen a lot of the stuff that they're doing with them. People can walk around with all that kind of stuff. I
would absolutely be a first adopter for things like implantable watches and things like that. Absolutely.
Maybe. I don't know if I would be the first adopter.
Did you watch any of Upload on Amazon?
I've watched the first 2 seasons. We started season 3, and we only got 1 episode in, and then we kind of had other things going on because it's a show I watch with the wife. The wife and I have to agree
the worst?
at the same time.
Wives/husbands/partners are the worst when you're trying to watch a TV show.
So I have not finished season 3 yet. We only got 1 episode in.
Excellent show.
Excellent.
If you haven't watched it, watch it.
Sci-fi, and it's a little iffy, though. I mean, the science on it. Not the science fiction. Science fiction is wrong, but the science. I was just reading an article. It was one of the articles I could have read. I mean, wrote up for here, too, but it's like an op-ed. It's kind of like an opinion-based thing. I'm not trying to read anyone's opinions.
Was the science dissed about the mind... Oh, obviously, I need my hard drive cleaned. The mind electronic upload. Did they not like the way it was portrayed or done, or?
I didn't really click onto it because, again, I felt like
too op-edy.
Yeah, it'd be that way. I just briefly saw the headline for it. I'm like, that sounds interesting. Something we could probably take or talk about when we do an upload show.
My comment was about that and kind of a weird crossover between the Kelvin series movies of Star Trek.
Okay.
And those godforsaken, awful clear screens. So a lot of shows are doing it where they'll have a projected 3D screen.
Listen,
and you can see right through it. Why would
I would have been the earliest adapter of that kind of shit because I don't want my screen sitting on my fucking wall.
Well, no, projection is fine, but I mean, it's clear.
I'd rather have art over there and all that kind of shit. I don't need to see some of the other shit that's around.
So it's kind of like a glass teleprompter. So if I'm looking across and I'm trying to read important text on my screen that is going to save my ship from going poof.
Why would you do it on a clear screen?
Yeah, I get that part. I don't want, someone walking past and I can't read the screen because, I'm just seeing their Hawaiian shirt go across the background of my screen.
What are we doing, like an AR VR combo type of thing where you can now walk into this projection thing, kind of like they did with the Borg ship, and then you can grab certain controls that are on that screen to then manipulate that data so you see everything spinning around.
It's a little Minority Report like.
Yeah.
How they're able to move things in real time. Well, again, I think that comes down to your personal ability to concentrate, though, because if I reach out and I grab that die that's on the desk holding the camera up,
and I won't talk about work, so I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole right now.
Oh, what a dirty, filthy rabbit hole. But if I grab that die and I have it in my hand, I'm manipulating, I'm concentrating on that die right here, my brain automatically blanks all that out.
And your brain always shortcuts stuff. That's the...
But do we think that's going to be the future? Like in Upload, the reason I brought up Upload is because they have a wristband that houses their watch, their smartwatch. And when they hold their hand in an L shape, the screen is projected here as a phone, and they can manipulate it, which I think would require sensors on the hand, but whatever. Not a scientist. Sci-fi. So we'll assume they have them transdermally implanted, maybe. But so if I move over here and I'm trying to read my screen, I've got the background of my phone or my Pepsi, my carbonated beverage.
No free shout outs, Pepsi. Yet again, he loves to give you a bunch of free shout outs.
Oh, Nitro Pepsi's amazing. So they're doing this, and think about that all the time. You're trying to read a tiny little text on your phone, and now you've got some kind of pattern like the barcode and the nutritional information. So you're trying to read that, but you've got all that other clutter in the background too.
I get what you're saying, and I can see where that could be a problem. But what's our biggest problem right now if we're looking at our phone and walking down the street?
That wonderful video of the lady falling into the fountain.
Right.
God, I love that
not being able to see the stuff around. So at least if you did it through a see-through screen like you did there, you would have that ability to see background stuff that may be coming at you.
Now, if there was like an opacity meter,
opacity,
yes, where you like a little slider so you could darken the screen's background to filter out anything behind it, I can deal with that. Because then I would change mine to almost completely black. That way I could still see things coming at me as I walk, which don't walk with your cell phone like this. It's a really bad idea.
How people walk into traffic.
That's how people walk into fountains. Love that video. I would have mine at a nice dark, but not completely blacked out. But if you look at like the bridge of the Enterprise in the Kelvin series of movies,
right?
They're completely clear and you can see straight through them. How would you ever get any work done? You wouldn't be able to get fine detail either, because the fine detail would be lost in the backgrounds.
Again, I'm not 100% sold on that per se, but this is not even where my show is going to today. So why don't we save that for our Star Trek tangent
there? Sorry.
Why don't we save that for our Star Trek episode? All right. Let me go read over some of these books released in May. All right. Abbott in the Darkness by J.D. Butler, May 3rd. Amanda and his family have moved light years from Earth for a new job that he got, trying to get himself out of debt. When he uncovers some corruption during that and places himself and his family into danger. Sounds interesting.
Yes, it does. I have a question about that after you're done.
All I have is what I wrote on these. They were pretty short things.
It's just an idea.
Paragraph. Eyes of the Void by Adrian Tchaikovsky, May 3rd, a follow-up to Shards of the Earth. The Future Second by Second. All right. Future Second by Mendel Newton, May 3rd, a dystopian novella about a woman who fights for her people and their way of life in a post-apocalyptic America.
One of my favorites, Americas.
I know. Decimate by Christopher Rice, May 10th, 14 years after her brother had an alien encounter. Her and her brother had an alien encounter during a hike. A woman tries to heal her family before tragedy strikes. That's all I got for it. There's a new Star Wars Brotherhood coming out by Michael Chen, May 10th. Mercury Rising by R.W.W. Green, May 10th, set in 1975, where Earth has to fight off an alien invasion.
Ooh, now that one I might read. I like pulp sci-fi like that.
Someone in Time, edited by Jonathan Strahan, May 10th. It's a series of short stories. Under Fortunate Stars by Ren Hutchings. I have a hard time reading my own handwriting. May 10th. Two ships that have met in deep space near an anomaly. One is from 152 years in the future. Glitterati by Overlick Langmead. May 17th. The fable about the glamorous residents of a utopia environment.
I like utopians.
Ice Ghost by Kathleen O'Neill, May 17th. It's basically an ice age of the future. So, dystopian future set in an ice age time frame.
And I'm a fat guy. I like the cold. That one's right up my alley.
Legacy of Molly Southbourne by Tad Thompson, May 17th. A woman who makes copies of herself and all the problems that happen from there.
A good Michael Keaton movie, Multiplicity.
And it's very similar to that. And that's where it ended, and I couldn't find any other books in there because my screen kept going blank as I was trying to scroll down. Thanks to Gizmodo. Don't use them.
All right. I have a question for you. Well, an idea.
Okay.
One of your books. All right. So the one was the guy who decides he's going to move light years away. So the faster we come to light speed, the slower time moves for us relative to everybody else. So if that guy's not moving at light speed or his form of travel doesn't stop that time dilation, once he gets there, is he going to be phoning his great grandkids? I mean, how's that going to happen in the future?
It was him and his family moved out to there.
Well, he's got cousins.
So, but I get what you're saying. I don't know. I didn't read any article.
Oh no, I'm just asking. Would you do that and realize that?
So
say you're going.
I
for
think
work
Ender did a really, or not Ender. Orson Scott Card did a really good job with the Ender series when he went to the Speaker of the Dead and used relativistic light speed travel and explaining how people could move between planets, and relative to them, it didn't take them basically light years to travel, or years to travel from planet to planet, but because they move slightly faster than light speed, I think, in there, but not much faster. And that time dilation, and it was basically 3,000 years from when he left one planet and landed on another planet. And because of the Ansel, or the information that can move faster than light, some of the changes that happened in between that 3,000 years and all that kind of stuff. I found it all interesting.
And it's a good book.
It is a really good book.
All right. So if you had the opportunity to fly to, I don't know, Europa, 23 light years away, whatever it is, and you had to leave everyone home, and time dilation was going to be an option, do you think, not an option, completely not an option, it's going to happen. How many do you think that our society is going to start doing things like that? Go, hey, look, kids, I understand you're infants, and when dad gets home from work, you're going to be 27.
I don't think our society would do that. I think they would. Individuals might do that. I think small family clusters would do that with the time dilation effect still in effect. It was instantaneous travel. I don't think there would be a major change in our society and how things work. But I think with that time dilation, I think our society would change and adapt to it, just in ways that most people wouldn't expect.
That'd be weird. You'd leave as a 30-year-old man. You'd come back as a 32-year-old man, and your
100 years have
nephews, your nephews and nieces already have kids and are on Social Security.
Okay.
That sorry I missed your baseball game.
It would be a huge change. I don't think that like married couples would do that, but I think whole families together would go.
I don't know. My wife likes it when I'm out of the house.
So
Hey, I'm going to work. See you in 22 years.
yeah, I don't think that would work.
Oh, I missed the shuttle. Make that 29 years.
All right. So we're going to get into our alternate discussion topics.
Do it.
We weren't prepared today. All right. So The Boys season 3 comes out June 3rd. So we're going to cover Boys season 1 and 2 here. Our hopes for season 3 and some other side topics here. So Boys season 1. Overall thoughts on it?
Outstanding.
Oh, I
completely
absolutely
enjoyed it. Again, we discussed before, there's differences between the comic books and the TV show, and they will meld in my brain, and I forget forgive me for that. Someone should take his Adderall today. I like the changes as far as the characters,
Okay.
because they're not super jarring.
All right. Well, I didn't read the comic book, so I don't know that. But I'm just saying, as the characters progressed through, it was kind of jarring for me in season 1 to realize Homelander wasn't the good guy, and about halfway through season 1, fully. I mean, they did introduce the things and all these possibilities, but it was just a trip for me with how that came about, I think.
Well, I like that you find. Spoiler alert, I guess. Yeah.
If you haven't watched season 1 and 2, you should have shut it off at the end of the news.
Yeah. Spoilers is a coming. So I like that the show revolves around Voight.
All right. Yeah. The
evil
evil
mega corporation, evil mega corporation.
Right.
I like the way how they do the backwards and forwards, backwards and present time, to really take you into the history of what's going on, how it happened,
Right.
and how manipulative Voight's been with the media
The entire time, right?
and how people are just sheep and will gobble that feed up. It's amazing, and I am totally.
But is that an allegory
that.
towards basically idiocracy that we have going on in our
Yeah, absolutely.
current environment? I mean, Don't Look Up was another great movie that covered the same thing.
Oh yeah.
Idiocracy.
Oh yeah.
I love
Idiocracy.
those.
Yeah. I didn't even think about Don't Look Up. Yeah, that's perfect, and it's recent.
Right. I mean that I think The Boys does a good job of highlighting that, and I still think people are being blinded by this. This is what I mean by good sci-fi. Like, good sci-fi gets you to think about these things.
Thinking hurts my brain.
I know, and it hurts a lot of people.
I'm too pretty. I don't have to think. But I like that they've completely snowed the entire population into believing, spoilers, that superheroes are, what's the best way to put this, destined by God, not created by man. I think that's a big underlying vein of the thought there, train of thought.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, and that with their creation and creating the superheroes, it's amazing. But for whatever reason, they never thought that they needed super villains until current times, and that's all brought by basically by Homelander, because he's tired of just saving people. He wants to fight big people, but he doesn't want to have the opportunity to lose. He just wants to have a good scrap. And that definitely gets brought up by the boys.
I know. I'm just trying to download the freaking synopsis of the show so I could kind of cover it a little bit better.
Oh.
It's not working very well with the slow internet that I have down in my basement. I will need to adjust that.
Look at me.
Time. I know. Well, you were already bitching about it. That's why I'm looking at you.
I kind of do it professionally, so it's one of those things. Like when you're driving in someone else's car and you're a mechanic, and you're like, oh, you might want to get that looked at.
Right.
But
so, what do you think of these individual characters?
I love Homelander. What was that?
I don't love Homelander. I love to hate Homelander.
Exactly, and
I
there's no
love to
difference
hate
between
Homelander.
love and hate. There's no difference between love and hate except who you're sleeping with.
In
You're
Homelander's
both
case,
emotionally
that's everybody.
involved. I love that they show the shininess of the mask and the cruddy sliminess on the back of the mask from it being stuck to their faces.
All right.
Every superhero. What is the name? Did you see the movie where they have like the anti-Superman in it? It's a kid.
I heard about it.
Oh, I can't think of the name of it.
Shazam?
No. Oh, it's completely not Shazam.
I know, you mentioned the kid. That's where I got stuck in there for a second.
Yeah, it's the kid has Superman-like powers. It actually kind of like follows the Superman story. Kid crashes to Earth, gets some foster parents kind of thing, but
And became the anti-hero.
yeah, instead of becoming good, I wish I could. Someone's screaming in text right now, all caps. You're an idiot. The Starlight, no, because that's the name of the character in The Boys. That's why it's in my head. But it's really, really good. It's a little graphic, but it is a fantastic idea of what if Superman had gone bad. Not if he had bad parents, because the parents are pretty good in the movie. But what if Superman just didn't like people?
Yeah.
Uh,
Just became an asshole.
That's the premise of the show on the cartoon show on Amazon, Invincible.
Invincible, yeah. Well, these are both on Amazon. Loved Invincible too.
Oh, I didn't think I was gonna like it. I watched that first episode and I was like, all right, looks like no one's going to sleep before work tonight.
Right? All right, so
Favorite superhero on or favorite character on The Boys. That's where you're getting at.
I think honestly the nerdy guy that's going after
Huey?
Yeah, Huey. I think I like Huey. I like that kind of story. I like picturing myself, I guess, as Huey type of thing.
Banging a pretty superhero.
I get it. Bang a pretty
I
superhero.
get it. Good thing your wife's not home.
I just tell her that she was the pretty superhero.
You'd be ordering a Wonder Woman outfit online just to be like, hey baby, look, see, I wasn't kidding.
How do you know she doesn't have one?
We're not gonna go there. We're not gonna go there.
There you go.
Don't picture me in a Wonder Woman outfit either.
Oh, or me. It's bad enough I did Fat Man one year. I mean Batman.
Show you my magic lasso. If anything gets edited out, that one might.
I doubt it. All right. Anyway,
Excuse me.
who's your favorite character?
I love the character progression of Starlight.
All right,
But
I
she
really
is
did
not
like her.
my favorite character.
Okay,
I got to go with Billy. I
like Billy a lot too. Billy,
and I know how the story ends.
I do not.
Oh, I still love
like
Billy. Although the dog is awesome.
I think Billy is an asshole, but I like him for the most part. It's just highlighting corporate greed and highlighting all the other bullshit that they do.
It's kind of like movie Payback with Mel Brooks. Or not Mel Brooks.
Yeah, Mel Brooks. Payback with Mel Brooks. Oh, Jesus Christ, I hit the table so hard. You want to move that camera back? Yeah.
There we go.
There you go.
Yeah, with Mel Gibson. I like the revenge movie where the really good guy makes that 180, takes care of business, and you still feel like that good guy's buried in him, but at the end you're like, oh no, definitely not. Good guy's gone. It's really good.
Oh, that's rough. All right.
There's I like the situations.
What
that
was
they
your
put 'em in.
favorite episode and favorite one, or scene? I should say, because it may be hard to remember the exact episode. Season 1 or season 2?
Okay. I got to go with season 1, episode 1.
Okay.
When Hugh's girlfriend gets demolished. Well, it's
demolish. She freaking
She turns into
splats.
liquid.
Yeah, I know.
For people who haven't seen it, they're having this great love scene. Huey's this he's this nerd who has this not super beautiful girlfriend. She's just totally normal. It's awesome.
That's great.
And they do a really good job of portraying, their feelings for each other and everything. And shit's gonna hit the fan. But in this case, literally, because they're making them too human for you. And they've got this great scene where they're like holding hands and spinning in the park, or they weren't spinning, were they?
I don't believe they were spinning. No,
I'm trying to remember between the TV show and the book. And she gets hit by a superhero going at
she was stepping
super
off
speed.
into the straight.
Yeah,
and
plowed right into her and turned her into a pink paste. And he's just standing there holding her hands and part of her forearms, and that starts the mental problems. And it is such a good scene because it shows you that you have real people out there, and then you've got these extraordinary superheroes that just don't care about the little people. Look at the New York City scenes in the Marvel Universe.
Yeah.
Where
it happens all the
cars
time.
and buildings, and no one cares. Everyone's dying. No one cares. No one cares about property damage. Sometimes it's okay to let the bank robber just rob the bank instead of throw a truck at them.
Causing all this damage.
So that's my favorite. What do you got?
Wow.
He's on the
It's
spot
kind of a
now.
dark one. I liked.
There we go. No, I think I went the wrong way. Whatever. I'm not pretty enough to be on camera anyway.
I really did like
There we go.
when it came to the plane going down, and you just realize how evil Homelander is.
Oh yeah, how absolutely self-centered.
And then that he's so self-centered, so evil that even the girl is kind of going along with it in there. What's her name? Maeve. It was like, this is not what we're supposed to be doing here. What are you doing?
And the crazy part about that is,
And she helps him take the plane down.
well, it wasn't even they weren't even going to get
taking
hurt.
the plane, right?
If they rode that plane all the way to the ground, they might have got a couple of bumps and bruises. But it was the optics of it. They wanted to make sure that everyone was like, oh, they did their best. They tried. No, it was just optics. They didn't want to look like they'd failed
At all.
So they sacrificed, that was probably a 777, so that's probably 300 people.
Up to maybe 600, depending
Yeah.
upon.
So, I mean, that's a lot of people just for optics.
Yeah.
Season 2 has got to be the Deep riding the orca into battle. That was just, or was it a whale? Oh, it was a whale. Either way,
I believe it was
big
an orca.
big sea mammal. It was
Or it could have been a
hysterical.
beluga whale. Was it a beluga whale?
I don't remember. I want to say it was a whale. But can you sit astride a whale like that? I don't know. Either way, watch it. It was hysterical. It was this wonderful
Definitely
piece.
hysterical.
I mean, it was a super tense moment, and then you get this absolutely silly like ride of the Valkyries on a sea creature. It was
I think
great.
in that second season it was more they did that big thing in New York City where they had down there kind of like, this is where it all hit the news right here towards the end.
I don't remember. Sorry.
In the
the publicity stunt where
Yeah.
they came down and Homelander reassured everybody that V was not what they were thinking it was.
right.
And even though they may have been scientifically made, they're still super beings from God. Yeah.
And then the guy that goes splat, right, because of
What's interesting?
overpowering or something like that.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Yeah. Overexcited. They juiced him up on V to as a drug like X or speed. The Russian lady, the counterpart to Homelander.
There are people screaming at their keyboard right now too.
Yeah, I know. I really should do some kind of research before we do this. But the problem is with the loss of the topic of Doctor Strange because somebody didn't get to go see the movie because his work hates him.
This was a quick alternate one.
We just had to come up with something. In the book, she's actually a man, and the storyline is completely different.
Really?
Yes, completely different.
Well, I thought the man Russian was in there. Like they gave him V, and he was going around starting all kinds of crap over in Russia.
Yeah, completely. That's more the storyline of the girl. I like the book of the woman, or the story of the woman in the TV show better than the story in the book. But there's a huge difference in there with supporting characters that
Right.
makes the difference.
Okay.
So when they're in the mental institution trying to break people out, there's a scene in there. How do I describe this without being vulgar? Where one of our heroes gets caught around the throat through the bars of a window by a prehensile phallus.
I remember that.
A controllable willy. And that character got no play in the TV show. They just did that one sight gag, which is super disappointing because in the comic book, he is amazing.
Is he?
I can't remember what his Russian name is because I don't speak Russian, but the English translation is love sausage. It's Igor or Sergey. I forget what his actual name was, but the character in the comic book is fantastic, and him and Huey are actually really good friends in the comic book, and he helps ground Huey from just having a complete mental breakdown. And
so you think they reduced some of that comic book to the movie thing because it was hard to do, or because they thought audiences wouldn't accept it too well?
I think you're right on that. I think they did. I don't think they believed that the audience would, it's more of a Cold War story,
right?
At that point, and a lot of people, obviously younger than you and I, don't really have a lot of thought about the Cold War. But thank you, Putin, for bringing it back up again. I guess.
Oh yeah.
Hey, look.
As long as it stays cold, I'm cool.
That's a problem with Hollywood. We had World War I, World War II, Vietnam, Korea, and we had movies about all of that, and then there was nothing.
Fuck, you still didn't go to see the freaking thing yet.
I'm
there was
going.
a Top Gun reference in there too. Preview as well in there.
Oh, for the new Maverick one?
Yeah, and it's kind of got my wife a little freaked out, me a little freaked out about like World War III type of thing going on with it a little bit too. And I'm like, why is it coming out almost the same time World War III might actually start?
Because they've been filming that movie for 3 years. The good thing is, for those of you not in the know, where we live next to one of the largest power plants in America. We're dead instantaneously. We don't have to worry about it.
Possible.
No worries about nuclear winter for us. We'll just see a blinding flash of light, and that's it. Possible. But the story in the book, not looking at the camera again, the story in the book, or comic books, or graphic novels, whichever one you decide you're going to read, Huey, and I think that's where we're going to end up going, gets injected with V. In fact, all the boys are injected with V in the comic book, and that's how they're able to do some ass kicking against superheroes. In the TV show, they only can do it through their brains, which is a nice way to do things. But
well, no, I think season 3 is going to introduce Huey's superpower through V, because didn't he already inject himself right at the end?
Yeah,
of
right
season
at
2?
the end, right at the end of season 2.
So we'll get to see what his new superpower is and how they're going to change the TV show a little bit to kind of closer match or not match the comic book. We'll see how that goes.
How they get around it in the comic book is the version of V that they get's not the high-end version that Vought gives to the babies. So they have to keep re-injecting themselves over time in order to keep their abilities up.
But they already kind of covered it with Vought V kind of running out. Even like these superheroes have to re-inject themselves over time in order to keep their superpowers. And that's how Vought also controls the superpowers in the TV show, or controls the superheroes in the TV show.
And that's why it's so significant that Homelander kills the original Vought scientist. Because once that happens, because he's one of the few that doesn't need a re-up. because he's one of the originals in that original set.
Oh.
So, but then the end of season 2 happens.
Interesting. I forgot all about that.
That's why it's super important that they can't really. There's no more V forward progress
That you know of.
That they've talked about yet.
Again, it could be also another corporate thing here is, we can make this floor application thing here so that it will never crack, never rust, never have to do whatever to the floor for 60, 70 years. They got a building up here in New York or in Buffalo that's like that. Whatever they coated the floor in there, they don't ever have to polish it. It doesn't
Really?
scratch. Doesn't
Like
do
the
anything
Worldser
like
building
that.
or something?
They went, this is too strong, and we're not going to make it.
Well, in that vein, so I live on an island. It's not my island. Braveheart reference. But there's a north set of bridges and a south set of bridges, and it's basically used as a shortcut from Buffalo to Niagara Falls. Over the years, they have repaved those bridges a dozen times in my lifetime, at least.
Right.
And they do concrete because it's a bridge. Probably 8 or 10 years ago at this point, they redid the south bridges in a epoxy.
Right.
And if you drive those bridges right now, even after almost 10 years, and if you know anything about Buffalo, we get the snows.
Right.
And we salt like crazy, although on bridges they don't salt. They use beet juice or they use brine. They don't throw straight salt on. But there is not one crack. There's a dark spot where there was a car fire on the top of the bridge. Nothing. They're in perfect shape. They finally did the north bridges, and you can see the concrete before it and the concrete after it is cracked and beaten up and needs to be replaced already. But there's not a crack on that epoxy, and no one seems to know why we're not making the rest of the streets out of that stuff.
Exactly.
Oh, it did stink to high heaven for about a month though.
All right. Well, I didn't live up there, so I didn't smell it, so I'm good. I'm cool. Maybe let's stink for a month at high heaven is probably the reason why they haven't done it. And what kind of cancer is this causing us? So, as usual, Grand Island gets the...
We live in my town. I want a Coke. Who cares what kind of cancer that caused? We're all getting superpowers already.
Yeah. Niagara Falls, North Downs, all that stuff. I already got all the superpowers they freaking need from Manhattan Project and everything else that was going on.
Ooh, that's a cool side here. If you happen to drive around our neighborhood with a Geiger counter, you'll watch it go beep, 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 beep quite a lot over buried barrels of tools from the Manhattan Project. Because though the majority of the Manhattan Project was not done here, quite a lot of the research and development was done here.
All right. So, I think that will cover that for the most part. We're going to end this episode a little earlier today, possibly. But before we do, I do have one question for you. All right. Anytime we're going to review any sci-fi thing from now on, we're going to take one character you want, and then you can fight it against any other character throughout any other sci-fi.
Okay, but you have to put a versus graphic up when you say that, though. Yeah, versus maybe some explosions.
If you want to do some,
I have no idea how to do any of that.
Editing and all that kind of stuff to add in there. I can put a cheap versus graphic up. I'll have that up here. That won't take any time. But it won't have like whoever you pick versus whoever the thing is. I'll just put the
versus Aquaman.
Who's gonna win?
Oh, that depends.
And why?
All right. So prior to Jason Momoa, Aquaman.
Okay.
There we go. We got to put that. Because Jason Momoa would just crush the deep. I got to go with Aquaman because the deep doesn't really have any good powers. He's good press. That's why they keep him. He's good press. He's
even though he raped Starliner.
Yeah, but they don't. People don't know that he raped Starlight. Well, I mean, eventually they do. They eventually find out.
They do in the season where, they made him give him a blowy versus raping him.
Yeah, straight rape. But it's
still a form of rape.
In the comic book, it's a 3-way rape with Homelander, the Deep, and I can't remember who else was involved in it.
The speed guy, A-Force or whatever his name was.
A-Train.
A-Train.
Oh yeah, maybe it was A-Train. Yeah, it was A-Train. But I think he was so easy to manipulate because he wasn't terribly bright, and they really used him. I mean, it worked out in Vaught's favor for that to come out because of the way they spun it. There was a redemption story, and he got religion, and eventually rides
and
an
they
orca.
tried to do all that in the show as well.
Yeah, yeah. They go into a lot more depth in the cult in the comic book, which is actually really good. That whole section is probably 5 books long. It's really yeah, because they show
Do you
how
think you're going to see some more of that in season 3 then?
maybe. Well, depends because there was a lot of dead people in the end of season 2. A lot of superheroes didn't make it.
That's true.
The comic book really focuses on the vices of all these superheroes. Now, over time, they all, according to Billy, they all turn from maybe being good intentioned to complete shitbags.
Ultimate power ultimately corrupts.
Yep. But Aquaman in DC has the ability to talk to fish, to breathe underwater.
Deep can do that.
Yep. To breathe underwater.
Deep can do that.
And that's pretty much it for Aquaman.
That's pretty much it for Deep.
But the Deep has exposed gills. Aquaman does not.
All right.
So underneath his little outfit, he's got exposed gills in his torso. So I think Aquaman could just send some of those worms that infect the gills of fish in rivers right into his gills and take care of them. Look,
that's the
I didn't say it would be a great fight. It's more of a slap fest, but I did say pre Jason Momoa where he'd just go over there, go and crush his little neck.
All right. For myself, I'm going to pit Homelander versus Luke Skywalker.
Oh, there's no competition there, though.
Oh?
No, Homelander would just zap him from a mile away with his laser vision.
You don't think
deflect.
the lifesaver could deflect it? I mean, it deflects blaster fire. It's got to be the similar thing for... I mean, if you look at it, it's like plasma rays coming out of his eyes.
But is it laser or is it plasma?
Is it laser or plasma in Star Wars?
Plasma bolts. Blasters
Okay.
fire plasma bolts, and lightsabers, though originally called a laser sword, are contained. The theory is contained plasma. So, like versus like, the blaster bolt fires a plasma, and its charge is facing one direction. The lightsaber's charge is facing the same direction. Therefore, it reflects off, bounces like a magnet.
Okay.
So,
well,
if
it
it's
would
a
work
laser,
the same thing.
Something under there. If it was a laser, it would just go right through the plasma.
Okay.
There'd be some scattering.
There would be some scattering.
So I guess it would depend on the intensity of Homelander's eye beams.
And what about the midichlorians and the Force and be able to warp things because of that?
Well, you can drop a house on Homelander and it doesn't hurt.
Yeah, you can't do that on Luke.
Yeah. Let's see. Homelander's got super speed.
Although Luke can come back from the dead.
Yes. But only as a Force ghost.
Only as a Force ghost.
So Homelander is just not getting any sleep after that. And then he slowly, his mind
Goes
erodes.
insane.
And then you can actually die from a lack of sleep. So it's a tie.
It's a tie. They both kill each other.
It just takes a little while longer. But Luke gets the win because Luke can come back as a Force ghost.
That's right.
So
And he can
Homelander's
still,
just dead.
After Homelander's dead, he's dead.
And Luke can be like, hey, Ray, remember when Homelander killed me, then I killed him, but I'm still here? And she's like, oh, God, I'm trying to make the bantha food. Would you just shut up, Luke? Sorry, I don't think Ray's a very good Jedi.
Man, even with cutting out some stuff, what are your hopes for season 3?
All right. Hopes for season 3. I hope that they go into a couple of the stories that are in the comic book. And I hope, if it's only going to be 3 seasons,
Right.
I hope they end it the same way that they ended the comic book, because that finish was so poignant and so good. I really hope that's the way they end it.
So you think season 3 is the final season?
Yes, I do think season 3 will be the final season because of cost.
Does it cost? Huh?
Yeah, I think animation and the wire acting and all that just costs so much, and it's such a niche group of people that watch it that. And if you don't go ahead and end it the way they did in the comic book, you're going to have so many angry people because I think it's mostly comic book watchers or comic book readers that are watching this show.
Really, I have never read the comic book.
Yeah, well,
So neither
I
has the
said
wife. I haven't let the kids watch it.
I don't know if I would.
I don't know if I would. I mean, they're both boys. They're 16 and 13, so the 13-year-old's definitely a little young. You
might have to explain the love sausage, but
yeah, the 16-year-old's old enough that I'd be all right with it. I just don't know if he'd be all right with it.
yeah, my kid would be able to handle it. He's 16; he wouldn't be able to handle it. He'd just giggle through the whole thing and be like, "Oh, someone farted." I mean, dude, just
yeah, right. I hope that, having not read anything like that, Hugh figures out how to end Voight and end their evil stuff on it without killing himself. I do see a possibility of Hugh getting killed because
he's definitely a sacrificial kind of guy.
Yeah,
that's just his personality; it's his nature.
Like he might go kill himself anyway. I kind of like the black hair guy.
Mother's Milk. Oh no, not the black guy. The black haired guy.
The main character, no, not Frenchie.
Oh, Billy.
Billy, yes, yeah. Billy. That was
Billy Butcher.
Billy Butcher. I kind of hope that he does the right thing in the end and gets what he wants out of it too. But again, I haven't seen any of those things, so we'll see how that ends.
I'm not spoiling it for you.
Cool, don't, because again, this starts June 3rd of 2022.
There's still a lot of comic book source material they can go through. I mean, there's
still like going to be 10 episodes at least.
You've got 8, I believe, graphic novels total, 6 or 8. There's still a fair bit. A lot of it's history. Like they go into the history of Mother's Milk. They go into the history of Frenchie. Although Frenchie's history really isn't that great. I mean,
they already covered Frenchie's history for the most part.
Yeah, for the most part.
I don't think we need any more background on him.
Mother's Milk is just they sanitize Mother's Milk's background for the show. But in the comic book, they kind of do the same thing at the beginning, and then you get the real story later. So that may be what they're doing, and I really hope they do because it's hysterical.
Really?
Yes.
All right. Well, I'll look forward to that. Any final thoughts on anything?
No, I don't have any thoughts to begin with.
All right.
It's been a long day already.
Neither do I. Thank you guys for listening. Don't forget to like, share, and follow on Facebook and on the YouTube channel. The Dead Birds are still out there. I am on Twitter. You can tweet at me and I'll try to tweet back. I'm on Insta, but I still have no idea what I'm doing with Insta. And all of these you can find at the Sci-Fi Update. And thanks for listening this week. Sorry it's a little bit shorter, but this was kind of put together on the fly, and we both have things we still got to get done. Thanks for listening.